Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is September 4th, 2021. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Game Boy Color and Game Boy games potentially coming back via Nintendo Switch Online. We'll also be talking about Alan Wake Remake coming on to the Xbox and PlayStation 5. And, of course, we'll also be talking about Sony's Backtrack on Horizon Forbidden West's PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 upgrade and all the chaos that went with that. Again, it is September 4th, 2021. We're going to roll our intro and get things started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020. Here's our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here, too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and, of course, everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean...
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And, of course, yes, we are live. We're here. We are doing the thing. We are having the fun. We are doing the stuff. It is September 4th. God. Kyle, can you believe it that we're already in September?
Holy crap, no.
Can you wake me up when September ends, please?
Oh, stop it.
Hey, by that time, we might have, you know, Battlefield 2042. I mean, that's coming up closer and closer every day. Yeah, just Battlefield 2042 is the only thing I'm looking forward to. There's really nothing else going on. So
that's still pretty sweet. That's still pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, it really is. I think out of all the games this year I'm looking forward to, that's probably going to end up being like one of the top ones. And
well, that and Halo.
Oh God. Oh, my beloved Halo. I can't forget that
You almost
game.
forgot.
I know.
Almost forgot.
You can't, dude. I just, again, wake me up when September ends, okay?
Stop it.
No, I'm not going to stop. No, that's the joke. That's what happens. Or what is it? Do you remember the 21st night of September? Sorry, I'm not supposed to be singing here. Anyway, we'll get a DMCA strike.
You're all about the music tonight, man.
I really am. So, outside of all of that, of course, yeah, it's news time. There's actually a lot that's been going on this week. So, of course, we're still working with our new format here. Hi, Charlie. Hi, pup. Got the dog over here saying hello, and now he's all excited and freaked out. What? Anyway, so on tonight's agenda, I think one of the more interesting things we've actually got going on here to start off the beginning of the week is, or at least the news for the week, excuse me, is in regards to Sony. So our first story tonight is talking about Horizon Forbidden West. So what's been going on, at least, is that Sony announced first at Gamescom that they were going to be delaying the release of Horizon Forbidden West till February of next year. This is a rumor that was going on for a little while, and then it was finally confirmed, of course, by Sony only just this last week. And now where we're sitting at is some of the concern that was coming out about what was happening with Horizon Forbidden West's upgrade path, because they did backtrack and say, hey, we are going to release it on PlayStation 4 at the same time. We're going to delay it. But for you to get the PlayStation 5 version, you're going to need to purchase a whole other copy for the PlayStation 5 if you buy the PS4 version. There's no clear upgrade path other than buying that. Well, they went ahead and reversed course today. So looking here, it looks like what they've actually done is they actually made some really big changes on their part. And Kyle, I don't know if you actually read any of this. This only dropped like maybe 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I was on my way back from Denver, so.
Yeah. So really what's happened here is this, is that they have decided now that anybody who purchases Horizon Forbidden West, this is directly from Sony, anybody who purchases Horizon Forbidden West on the PlayStation 4 will be able to get it on the PlayStation 5 for free. Will be able to get the upgraded version for free. Originally, they had said here that if you wanted to get Forbidden West on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, you either had to buy the Digital Deluxe Edition for $79.99, the $199.99 Collector's Edition, or the $259.99 Regala Edition to be able to access it. But it looks like you either had to go digital or to the higher tier ones, and $200 to get, a copy of a game that could get you, or get you both versions of it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. But in tandem with it, though, and this is the interesting part, Kyle.
Well, and that's half the console that could play it.
No shit. But one of the other
there.
parts, though, that they actually said on here is that Sony actually is committed now to offering a $10 upgrade path, which means any game that they release on the PlayStation 4 that has a PlayStation 5 equivalent, or will get a PlayStation 5 equivalent, if you want that version, unless the dev offers it for free, it will be a $10 upgrade. So they've listed the next God of War and Gran Turismo 7 as those, if you buy PlayStation 4, will let you go digitally up to PlayStation 5. It doesn't mean that they're going to ship you a PlayStation 5 disc.
That's not terrible, but
No.
at the same time, I mean, I think it's still Sony gouging you for that extra 10, bucks. They're like, I'm going to get you somehow.
Absolutely. This is just funny that we're talking about this. So I guess you can kind of consider this a preview to our NPCs discuss this next week, because we talk exactly about this issue and about this problem in the industry right now, is that was a lot of hype and a lot of promise about the next gen consoles and being able to take your games from your existing console up to the next one. And of course, Microsoft put out a lot of things like with smart delivery, the dual gen support, all that. And we really haven't seen anything come out with any sort of additional price point that says you have to go buy another version of this game, save, of course, for a few others that were announced before the Xbox and PlayStation 5 dropped. Now here we are, not even a year. We haven't even hit the 1 year anniversary of these consoles yet. And we're already seeing it, at least on Sony's part. It's a shock.
Well, and, it goes back to, the couple of games that had issues with the selecting the PS4 or PS5 version. And at first they didn't have it set up so it could automatically, I think it was Call of Duty actually, would automatically play the PS4 version of the game.
Interesting. What was it? Black Ops that was that
I
version?
think it was Black Ops, yeah.
Interesting.
So, which means, yeah, they could have done it anyway. They could have been doing the whole one disc thing, no upgrade fees, probably anyway. But I don't know. Like I said, it still feels like Sony's trying to gouge you for that extra $10 that they were gouging you for on the next gen games anyway. Returnal, Demon Souls, so on and so forth. They have those extra $10 prices on their tags, which, I guess it's fortunate that places like Walmart continuously carry even those ones. I think are like $55 instead of the full 60, because I get almost all my games at Walmart, even as much as I dislike the company. It's just the cheapest way to go because they're always $10 cheaper than any place else.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I picked up when I got like my Nintendo Switch Lite. It was the same day Link's Awakening for the Switch came out, and that was like $10 off too, and that was a shock for a brand new first party Nintendo game. And you're all right, there are a lot of others that follow that suit though too. So it's bizarre to see that Sony's doing this anyway in the first place, at least this soon.
On the other hand, besides them showing that, they could have done it anyway, they could have just put both versions on the disc and said, it's fine. You can play either version. I mean, I guess they're unlocking it in some way, but this is going to tell hackers that, it's possible to just not pay it and then unlock it in the system.
Yeah, very possible. I guess we're going to end up having to see exactly where the actual like demarcation line is on that too, and see exactly like, what they come up with to unlock it in the first place. It's very interesting, I guess, to say, that again, we haven't even hit the 1 year anniversary of the PlayStation 5's release, and we're already seeing this from Sony on the way that they're already trying to figure out how to monetize on the upgrade path, outside of buying a whole new game. But I mean, at least I will say it's better than it was. At least the expectation for Horizon Forbidden West, and this will probably end up being the norm going forward, though. I mean, this is probably what it's going to be.
Yeah, I could see this being the norm for maybe Sony will say the next year, or at least until the end of next year. But it'll be 6 months at least, at minimum.
Yeah.
But I could see them trying to start nixing it after 6 months.
Yeah, probably. I with how fast they moved to make their change here, I bet you we might see probably something even like we probably might see something else happening here sooner too.
Yeah,
So
and maybe they don't. Maybe they prolong it and let people get their money's worth, just so they can get that extra $10 every time, because that does add up eventually.
Oh yeah, and
So,
it will especially, and it's just curious to see like, okay, you pay $10 extra for the upgrade version. What happens to your previous version? Is there some other weird like lock that ends up going in place? Like, well, you paid $10 for the PS5 version. We're just not going to let your PS4 version work anymore.
right.
Yeah. Well, there's that with Sony, of course. Just a very interesting thing that's going on in that world, though, too. But I guess we'll see how many other games, at least on Sony's side, do end up having something like that going forward. May not be all of them, but we'll just have to see. But let's move on here to our next story for the week. And this actually has to do with the streaming community starting off. We got another thing about streaming going on here at the very end, of course. But two of the biggest names in streaming from Twitch have decided to migrate over to YouTube. That would be Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman. Both of them got rather lucrative contracts from YouTube Gaming to hop up and move over. And the interesting thing, of course, is, I mean, we don't have any dollar figures. We don't have any values out there, but they both moved and they decided to play. They actually have played a couple streams together already so far. And it's interesting, of course, in the move and what's going on, especially with the world of Twitch here. But so far, the real thing out of a lot of this, though, to kind of look at is what's going on with Twitch right now. We can actually kind of carry in here to the next story here in a minute, Kyle, talking about the other part of Twitch here that happened this week anyway with the boycott. But we're seeing some sort of very interesting exodus from Twitch, at least as of late, with a lot of high-profile gamers or high-profile streamers at least starting to pick up and go. Shroud and Ninja were brought back last year with after the closeout of Mixer. They were brought over back to Twitch with some exclusive contracts. Dr. Disrespect, of course, was banned from Twitch and moved over to YouTube Gaming. Courage JD signed exclusivity with YouTube Gaming. And now, of course, we got Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tatman, and supposedly another one of their compatriots, Nick Merckx, this actually came up just recently too, may also be going that same way. He's teasing that he's got some sort of big lucrative contract that he just signed off on. He hasn't said what for, but the rumor right now is that he's also going to YouTube Gaming. But we're seeing a lot of these higher profile names en masse go from Twitch to YouTube Gaming. And I'm curious, like, I mean, Kyle, I don't know how many Twitch streams you really tune into or anything, but I figured maybe not.
Not a one.
So let's look at this from like let's look at this from maybe like your standpoint here, though. If you're hearing a lot of these higher profile people are moving over, like they're getting better contracts that are moving over from the platform that actually made them what they are, what goes through your head when you hear something like that?
I'm thinking that maybe there's more to it than just what their current contract may entail, that they want out, or maybe they're towards the end of their contract and they but I think in all likelihood there's something more to it than just a more lucrative contract, whether it be the fact that Twitch has cracked down here just recently on all sorts of stuff, even just minor language can get you flagged. or even smaller clips nowadays get you flagged, then it's just gotten really strict. And I think part of it is maybe the fact that dealing with Amazon isn't as good as dealing with Google.
Maybe, especially like if you look at like what Twitch was before it was acquired by Amazon, and then of course look at it versus YouTube as well though too, and how far YouTube is out there. Is not only do you get the live content on YouTube, but you also get a whole list of videos for just about anything you want to watch. But of course, it's also helmed by Google and Amazon are two of the biggest tech companies in the world anyway. So to see exactly, that they're jumping ship over there, I mean, and of course, YouTube is nothing to balk at anyway, but it's just like from someone who's watched a lot of streams, who's streamed on Twitch before, who streamed a little bit on YouTube. I mean, hey, we're on YouTube right now. It just makes me wonder if there's other things that are going on besides just like big contracts, though. Of course, Tim the Tabman and Dr. Lupo did say they are leaving Twitch, of course, though, and with their contracts over on YouTube Gaming, that it allows them more time with their family because they're married, they have kids, so it gives them more opportunity to spend with that. But over on Twitch, of course, they really weren't getting a lot of that. But I guess there is a lot of that balance. But it could also tie in, though, with the next thing that we're going to be talking about here. So I bumped this story up, Kyle, from the very end of our list up to this now. And this is actually talking about kind of what was going on with Twitch this week as well, too. Not only did you have the high-profile names leaving, but this was talking about Twitch's. There was the boycott of Twitch over the hate raids that were going on. So there was a hashtag that was going around, of course, a day off Twitch, or what was the original one? Twitch do better.
Twitch do better. Yeah.
I was gonna say I knew you might have remembered it from when we were doing the Open Critic stuff for this week.
Yeah, no, it was Twitch do better, and it had started basically. They wanted Twitch to do something about the hate rates because they were getting to the point where it's egregious. It was happening too frequently, and the stuff that these people were saying, it was just vile, violent, abusive.
It was homophobic, transphobic, racist.
Yeah.
It was
Just
pretty vile stuff.
Hateful stuff.
Yep.
And it got to a point where the people at Twitch, well, the actual casters themselves decided, well, let's do a Twitch day off. So that spawned the hashtag a Twitch day off. After that, basically it was September 1st that they were executing the official Twitch day off. But it was more of kind of a all month thing, but I guess it was more for the people that had planned it, that they definitely wanted to make sure as many users as they could hit September 1st. And the statistics showed for it. And yeah.
Well, you've got it right there, just like I do, Kyle, but talk about it. What was the actual impact to Twitch then with this one? Like, what exactly was it that changed, or that we actually saw with this protest happening, with a day off Twitch on September 1st? What happened?
So if I'm reading this right, between August 31st and September 1st, roughly the same time, it'd be 8:40. I'm not certain the time zone. That's probably California, I would assume.
I would think so.
Yeah. So Pacific. And what is that? 7:40 Pacific on September 1st. So nearly 24 hours. 23 exactly, actually.
Yep.
The viewer count dropped almost 1 million.
Yep.
Like almost exactly 1 million. and the active channels dropped by roughly 3,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hit.
That's a massive jump. And I mean 3,000 may not be or may not seem like a lot, but that's actually quite a big voice if you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. And that's one of those
Yeah.
things that it's like you look even closer at here too in these statistics is that it's what, 22% of total traffic for the day was just gone.
Yeah.
Like peak concurrent traffic, excuse me
Just
here.
poof.
Bringing up this information. Yeah. So it had an impact, 22%. And I think the reason why they targeted September was because of their yearly activity called September, where if you go and subscribe to anybody on Twitch, it's half the cost of a normal subscription, which is normally $4.99 for your tier 1 level subscription. But then they cut that, of course, to $2.49. And I think all the profit ends up going to actually going to the streamer instead, which normally for Twitch, it's usually about 50-50, where if you subscribe for a tier 1 at $4.99, it's split 50-50 between Twitch and between the streamer itself. So because of the lack of support on the hate raids, because of the lack of the support on the harassment, effectively, it looks like at least they put out a pretty strong message here to say, Twitch, we're not going to stand for it.
And basically, it comes down to,
thing.
do you want to come to work and get verbally assaulted every day? Because I don't, and these people didn't either. So they took the day off.
Yeah, exactly. They did.
Yeah.
Well, one of those things, though, is that if I'm going to put this out there, of course, and I really need to share some links out via our social media, of course, but there are some people out there who have actually set up hate raid panic buttons. So if they actually see a hate raid starting to occur on their stream and they use something, say, like a stream deck, or they use some sort of other integration, like I know there's things you could put on like your phones or your tablets that basically mimic a stream deck, that you can go and trigger effectively all these other actions to happen on your stream chat, so that way the hate rate is either limited or eliminated. And it's one of those interesting things, though, that at least if Twitch can't do it, but the community can, then obviously it's just Twitch dragging its heels dragging its feet, excuse me, because the community was able to come up with something in less than a day to be able to help address it. And it's a conglomeration of tools. It's a conglomeration of different things to make it happen. But people have been able to do it. And that's one of those things that we're not really seeing from Twitch in the first place, is that they're not stepping up and saying, here is what you can do to prevent that. Well,
right.
They need to get on that. They need to make their tools better about doing so.
Oh, for sure.
Putting it in the hands of the users or the streamers is one thing, but if it's a platform-wide issue, obviously it's a Twitch problem. So,
well, and if it's a Twitch problem, eventually it's going to become a Twitch legal problem. So
it will, yes.
If it doesn't get addressed, I mean, they're only going to hurt themselves. That's what it comes down to. And not only that, it beyond becoming a legal problem, eventually people just won't want to stream on Twitch.
Yeah, and what I'm curious about more than anything is to see how long Twitch actually goes on for if they can't address a lot of these things. I mean, they kind of had their asses handed to them. I can't remember if it was late last year or earlier this year with the DMCA stuff, when they were getting hit with like a bunch of requests for things to be taken down, and they only gave so much time. So you had Twitch streamers who had to go and purge years of VODs just because of all those DMCA requests. I mean, they've really dropped the ball in the last year with what's been going on, and it's kind of a shame that we haven't actually seen more stepping up from them on how to handle some of this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but at least it shows. I mean, it shows that the community is very, very cognizant of that, and that the community is ready to effectively, take things into their own hands to be able to address the problem. So Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about all there is to say on that one. Let's move on here to what we're going to be talking about next then. And this is actually probably one of the more interesting things, but not a shock necessarily. So, Nintendo is apparently going to be bringing Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to Nintendo Switch Online as a part of their virtual console service. Kyle, do you see yourself playing some old Game Boy and Game Boy Color games here very soon?
You're gonna laugh at me, but yeah, I actually do. I there's a lot of Game Boy and Game Boy Color games that I really did enjoy. I'm the article that you provided for us as reference. The first image is that Super Mario World 2 and the secret rings or whatever, or the secret coins, or
Yeah.
I don't remember what the title was exactly. But I love that game. If they put that on there, shit, yeah, I'm gonna play it. I actually bought it on I believe I have it on my DS, and I know for sure I've got it on my Wii U.
There you go.
So it's one that I absolutely love that game. There's other if they put R-Type from Game Boy Color, oh hell yeah. Loved R-Type from Game Boy Color.
I like though, like where in the article here from The Verge where they're talking about the question they put up is which Game Boy and Game Boy Color games are on your short list? I'm going with Wario Land and Pokemon Pinball. And I gotta say, I'd love to play some Pokemon Pinball again.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that is such a good one.
And
but,
Sean here on Facebook says Pokemon Blue, but I have a weird feeling we're not actually going to see a Pokemon game.
I don't think we will.
I have a feeling we're not going to. I don't think so. And I don't know what it's
especially because they've been re-releasing them. I mean, you think about it, Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu was actually a remake of the first game, I believe.
It was. It was the mix of Pokemon Go and Pokemon Red and Blue. And that was really what it was. But as cool as it would be to see, I just don't think we're going to see a Pokemon game in that fashion. I think we're going to see more of like what we've already seen thus far with the remakes. Like we've got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming up here soon. Mm-hmm. And those were originally DS games. I have a feeling that's why we're not going to be seeing much. So I don't have my hopes up for a Pokemon game, but I do have my hopes up for a bunch of others. And I know
Kirby.
Pokemon Pinball is a Pokemon game, and oh god, I'd love to play some Kirby on the go again too. That was one of those games to have.
You can play Kirby on the go as is, but I mean,
I'm just saying, like I'm talking like Game Boy Kirby, like when you were a kid type Game Boy Kirby. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Although they do make mention of one title here, the original Link's Awakening, from the Game Boy and Game Boy Color days too.
I don't think so, because of the remake.
You don't think so?
I don't think so because of the remake. I could see them doing, what was it, Metroid 2? Because they did release that one, I want to say, on the DS. And it was a Game Boy game.
I don't know, actually. I mean, I guess we just have to like look at the list of games that have come out, but there were a lot of games that came out for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
I know they say in the article too, they're talking about Game Boy Advance. I mean, that's a stretch. That's what everyone wants, but it'll be a separate thing if they do it at all.
I think so. I think you'll probably see. I'm actually surprised we didn't see DS games work their way over to the Switch first.
I know,
because I mean, I think they could figure out that dual screen stuff.
Well, I mean, they've made it kind of work in some games. Like you think about, because didn't they? I could be wrong. The World Ends With You, not The World Ends With You Neo, or Neo The World Ends With You. I don't remember how the new one is, but the original The World Ends With You. That one was a DS title, and I believe they launched it on Switch, and I want to say they launched it on mobile phones as well.
There was a World Ends With You.
There was a version.
There was a World Ends With You mobile version, but I don't think it was like specifically the same format as the DS game. Like I said, I could be
wrong. So
because I had the DS game, I had the DS World Ends With You, and they did do a re-release of it for the Switch, and then they came out with Neo: The World Ends With You, the sequel to it. So it is. But I think that's actually really cool that they're going to at least be expanding what they have in the virtual console. You know, I think some people are kind of tired of things like with the NES and Super Nintendo there. I mean, because those games are good. Don't get me wrong. But you know, you got to offer more. And there's a big back catalog.
I think we'll even see the color palette revived as far as putting in the codes, Alex.
Yeah, so Alex here on Facebook says there were some original Game Boy games that were specifically programmed with special color palettes for use on the Super Game Boy that never got carried over to the Game Boy Player for GameCube or the Virtual Console. Be neat if those finally got revived. Only if.
Yeah.
Only if.
Yeah,
supposedly,
I could see that happening, though. I could see it like you have to hold down like plus and up, or you know, to get the specific color palette or whatever. I could see them doing that, just as it's a Nintendo thing to do.
Right, and supposedly there's a Kickstarter going on right now. Do you remember there was a story about maybe a month or 2 months ago that talked about a productivity cartridge for the Game Boy that basically turned the Game Boy into a PDA? Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah, so it was something to do that, and apparently someone on Kickstarter is trying to basically make their own version and actually make it into a Game Boy cart.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, like as a productivity thing.
It's not unheard of. We do have a new Game Boy Advance game coming out here soon, so...
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen like Dreamcast games come out. Hell, we've even seen Genesis games come out.
There have been a few Game Boy games that have released recently too.
Swear to God, it's so funny just to think about that nowadays. It's like, yeah, someone just released a Game Boy game. It's 2021. Like, what the hell are you doing? I don't know how many people own Game Boys anymore in the first place.
Well, you know how much I like my classics and stuff.
I do.
You see how many people put out like new versions of classic hardware that even just emulate it. Like if the actual hardware companies made the original hardware or new versions of the original hardware, people would buy them. If it worked just like the originals and you could buy NES cartridges or Super NES cartridges and put them in a new version of a NES or Super NES. I mean, Genesis tried it but failed because it was kind of a bad time for it with the Genesis 3. But I could see it working right now.
Yeah, I'd almost wonder if like we'd see Nintendo revisit like the Game Boy Micro again.
Oh man, that would be cool.
Like I wonder if we'd see them revisit something like that, especially with the success of the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. I mean, I know obviously, of course, we got people pining for this like an N64 Classic and a GameCube Classic, but like even bringing back like a Game Boy Micro that can play those cartridges and then do like a limited run of like original looking cartridges, but knowing of course that they're for those. I mean, you'd have like tons of sales. I mean, that's like a $1 billion idea right there. So I don't know, Nintendo, if you want to talk, I got some other business ideas for you too. It kind of deals with more like 4K consoles and stuff like that, but you know, that'll be for another day. But of course, in the grand scheme of playing video games, one of the things that, as we use this as a segue to the next story here, of course, is one of the things we take for granted here in the United States is our freedoms, our ability to shoot guns, drink beer, and play video games for as many hours as we want. Well, obviously, of course, kids aren't normally doing the first two things, but the third thing, playing as many video games as they want for as long as they want, it's usually one of those things. However, that's not the case in good old China land. So, the Chinese government is now instituting where any child under the age of 18 will only be allowed to play 3 hours of video games a week. What? I know, right? What? So, what's happening is this. One of the key things that China is really trying to fight right now, and as it tries to strengthen its nation, is they are trying to work on factors that relate to that are related to the detriment of the nation itself, to their workforce, to their society. And one of those things is addiction, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's drugs, whether it's gambling, whether it's anything like that. And of course, one of the targets for some of that is video games as well too. So originally, the Chinese government had put into place some kind of preventions that only allowed so many hours to be played for video games already. And that was kind of across the board. Now this is more targeted at minors. So I've got an article from NPR up here that talks about this a little bit more. So here's what's going to be happening for kids. So those under 18 can access online games only on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and only between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., according to the report. Minors are also allowed to play during the same time on national holidays. So they literally get a time period between 8 and 9 p.m. Like, okay, all your homework's done, and you're going to go to bed in an hour. You get an hour to play games, and you only get to do it 3 times a week.
Don't play Warzone. Don't play PUBG.
Yeah, no kidding. You can maybe get like two games in. Yeah, exactly. That's just But one of those interesting things, of course, is that it all ties in, of course, to the way the nationalist system out there actually works. Is that, of course, for a lot of these platforms and services, because everybody's heard of the Great Firewall of China, a lot of the things over there require registration based on real identification or real information about you. You can't just go create a username and a password and go from there. There's a lot of things tied into their social safety nets, just like how we have our social security numbers here in the United States. They have something over there as well, though, too. But they use that for signing into a lot more applications and services and functions that we don't normally do with our social security numbers here. So because of those real IDs, what's happening is China's able to actually help to track these and actually see what is going on. It allows them to basically pull countrywide metrics on how things are being handled. But of course, they're putting it in the hands of the developers and publishers of those games to actually implement those changes. So that way those kids can't just sign in and just start playing to their heart's content. Plus it also has them changing their marketing too.
And the caveat to all this, by putting it in the hands of the developers and publishers, it also puts responsibility in the hands of the developers and publishers, which means if they are incorrectly implementing the process or
they don't even do it at all,
just disregarding it, they can be punished with extensive fines and I want to say like extreme jail time.
Yeah, like one of the big things about that business control over there in China is they could get shut down pretty quick. Like after some of these things were announced, one of the big game companies out there is like, it's funny to say game company, but it's more of just a segment of the company itself, is Tencent. So Tencent, of course, has its own gaming division. It's invested millions of dollars into all these other game companies. It owns Riot Games, who is responsible for League of Legends. And after this information came out about what China was going to be implementing, they lost like a whole bunch of money. They're down like 20-something% for the entire year.
Yeah, it was like 20%
on their actual
or some shit.
On their actual value because of what's going on here with these rule changes. And of course, it does apply to China because China has over 1 billion people. And I mean, they're one of the more populous countries here in the world. So of course, they have a higher player base. And so a lot of the games that are over there are not necessarily the same ones over here in the United States. But any sort of impact there to the bottom line of, microtransactions, any sort of purchases in general, like even buying the game, buying upgrades to the game, is going to have that impact to the business. So they're, of course, getting slammed by it at the same time. But China has exerted such control over those companies there that I imagine it just like a group of soldiers walking into the company and pulling the cord basically on the server room and just saying, you're done. You know, you get one of those totalitarian kind of like movie sci-fi-esque type views in your head of just them walking in and just doing it and detaining whoever else runs it.
I could see them all of a sudden the power goes out for the building and there's a squad of people that come in and they're like, you're all under arrest.
Yeah, you
come
just
with us.
It's just like the movie. Yeah, I just
and then it's like the movie The Raid.
Everything's off. Yeah. Exactly. I imagine it just like red lights coming on, like how what was it in the first Resident Evil movie? See some things like the Matrix when people when they couldn't actually like sign out or anything or get out of when they were trying to answer the phone and the hard line being cut. Oh, man, movies have ruined us for what exactly happens. And of course, we know it's other ways that things happen. But yeah, so if you're planning on moving to China and you have kids, that's what's up, okay? So just be aware.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Kyle. I think you and I would actually do okay because of the amount of time we actually get to play video games in a week. I think 3 hours, we're pretty good there. I think we're okay on that one. But of course, we're not
Can I
minors
sneak in
either.
like 15 minutes? Can I get to another planet now?
Oh, no kidding.
Can I actually finish a mission?
Mm-hmm. No kidding. So this is there is a lot more information out there. If you really want to read everything that comes out of this, of course, the article we're referencing is actually from NPR. They have a link directly to the information from the Xinhua news agency, which is the state-run media. They have a whole long article there about all the details and how it relates exactly to them. Of course, it's not going to impact us here in the United States, but it is a very long and interesting read about the thought process and what they're actually doing to implement this. So you want to go do some, I guess, light reading. I don't know. That's up to you. You know, it's probably something good. Like if you're laying in bed and need to read something to get yourself to fall asleep, it's a lot of details. So by all means, go and do that yourself. But let's move on to our second to last story here then. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and start this off with a video here instead. So Kyle, you got that video queued up?
Do I?
I don't know. I put it there. I put the link to the YouTube video there. I actually watched this video already like the other day, and I really like this video.
Okay, I'm watching it.
All right, hang on. All right, so I'm going to throw it up here, and we'll kick that off.
Pushing the boundaries of what was thought to be possible.
So we got the announcement that Minecraft Live is coming up.
Then there was sound. Then 3D and CinemaScope. Now we bring you Minecraft Live in the most exciting cinema technique in broadcast history. Quadromorphic Endervision. A new and thrilling way to experience Minecraft Live that will dazzle and mesmerize you completely. 4 times more color. 4 times the entertainment. And 4 times more unpredictable. On October 16th, will you be prepared? Just get a load of what our experts have been working on around the clock. Our new digital audio system, Pillager Radio Sound. Pillager Radio Sound. After hearing it, you'll never be the same. And don't miss the opportunity to
that
speak
poor
your
chicken.
mind, folks.
Yeah.
On the next block-breaking mob to be added to Minecraft. As if that wasn't enough, we will be transmitting all of this live through our state-of-the-art broadcast system, Beacon.
Huh.
Minecraft Live. Don't miss this extraordinary spectacle.
All right, so I just had to play that video out there because I thought it was like one of the coolest videos there anyway. So, yes, Minecraft Live was officially announced as coming back, of course, but it's going to be, from what I understand, is going to be online only event, of course, because of course the rise in Delta cases with COVID-19 right now. But with the online event, of course, it's going to be very similar to the way that they formatted it last year too, where a lot of the things they're going to be having, of course, is showing off new changes coming up. Apparently, the next update that's going to include the next phase of the caves and cliff stuff is actually not going to be a 1.17 release. It's going to be a 1.18 instead. I actually saw a little bit of a featurette on this where someone was looking at some snapshots, which a snapshot in Minecraft, for anybody who's not aware, of course, is a production, basically a kind of an alpha/beta release of where things are at in Minecraft, at least from the developer's standpoint, but not a full release of anything. But it's where a lot of people got to see 1.17 stuff in advance. But there's a lot of cave generation changes that are happening. The introduction of the Warden as a mob. We're going to have changes as well too to world height and world depth. So world height is going to go up by 64. World depth is going to go down by 64. So we're going to actually go into negative territory instead of when you hit bedrock, instead of hitting 3 or 4, you're actually going to be able to go down to negative 64. Yeah, it's going to be a big change there because it's also going to change the spawn rates for a bunch of different ores and minerals underneath too. Like you're actually going to have very large potential veins for diamonds as well too, which is really
That'll be cool.
a neat thing. Yeah. So I've already seen a lot of this stuff, at least kind of in advance with some other videos that I've come across. But yes, Minecraft Live is going to come back where they're going to show off more things about 118. They're going to talk more about some of the other stuff coming up, though, too. They're also going to be having, as they showed there in the video, they're also going to be having a vote on another mob to add to Minecraft, which the last one was the glow squid, is what they added. They had, out of the 3 that they had listed, they had the glow squid, they had something called the isolager, and then they had it was a different type of cow. Instead of being a mooshroom, like where it's the mushroom cow hybrid, I can't remember exactly what that was going to be. But a lot of people were upset that they decided to go glow squid, because all the glow squid does is just drop a glowing ink sac that you can combine with an item frame to make that item frame glow with whatever the item is in it. However, the problem, though, of course, is that a lot of people wanted the isolager because it added another mob to the illager raids, and it would just have been another one. It was something that actually could cast like ice and different like frozen spell abilities, and so that doesn't exist. Yeah, that was one of the mobs to vote on. So I'm very curious to actually see what else it is that they do showcase here, soon. Is like, what are some of these other mobs they might actually come up with? Like, I don't know. I mean, finding goats, at least right now in the latest release of Minecraft, is fun. I really want to find one of the screaming goats.
There's screaming goats in the game.
Yeah, if you can come across one of those screaming goats, like I'm being serious, like one of the ones you can just go to YouTube, screaming goat.
Yeah, I know what they are. I can imagine like just wandering around thinking it's a normal goat, and then starting to like mine something. Like, you turn your back on it and you start to mine something, that would scare the piss out of you.
I would use one of those to lure a warden away. Like, imagine just you walk into a cave with one of those and you like tie it down somewhere, and all of a sudden it's just and all of a sudden you just hear like the warden just running off to it, and just boom, bam, boom. That would be pretty. It'd be like Jurassic Park when they bring the goat up and then the T-Rex eats the goats. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's going to be coming up. The date again, October 16th, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that'd be 10 a.m. local time, of course, for us here in the Mountain Time Zone. So be on the lookout for that. We'll definitely be watching that. I will definitely be watching that one myself. Because that's a Saturday, I may find a way to go ahead and do a co-live stream or something like that, where I just let the thing go and I'll be here talking with you as that goes on. We'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, just new fun stuff though, at least with Minecraft anyway. But now we move on to the last story we've got tonight, and I know this one's going to excite Kyle. I'm sure he probably changed his pants after he saw this.
Yeah, I'm like skimming the article right now, like.
Yep, and it comes from your favorite Twitter guy, Wario64 as well.
I don't know how I missed this. I don't know how I missed it, because
I don't know. You're so quick to send me his stuff. Yeah. So, it came out only a couple hours ago. Alan Wake is getting a revival as a remastered release on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S on October 5th. While this has not been confirmed and officially announced by Xbox, what's the studio here? Remedy? Yeah.
Remedy.
Yeah. While it hasn't been officially announced by them yet, that looks like that's what's going on. So looking at the tweet here from Wario64, I'll jump over here to bring this up a little bit. We'll take a look here. Let me zoom that in so people can actually read it. So Final Fantasy VII Remake listing found on Epic Game Store backend. So there's the backend information, of course, there for that one. And then right here, Alan Wake Remastered at least has a property in there. And then this from what appears to be some sort of Chinese marketing website for PlayStation 5 shows an Alan Wake Remastered box art. And I think for those who really like Alan Wake, which would be, it's in Taiwan. For those who like Alan Wake, there you go. So that would be for you, Kyle, because you really like your Alan Wake. So,
oh man, this makes me so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, though, is all the different music and product placement that may not exist anymore, though, either, because of all the different licensing stuff, too, that's gone.
I don't recall there being a lot of product placement in that game.
Energizer batteries
Oh yeah,
was one of the
I
big
forgot
ones.
about
Okay,
that.
hold on. You
I
know what?
forgot about that.
Product placement in Alan Wake.
I'm probably wrong. I just that game was so amazing. I loved it. I just recently repicked it back up on Steam like 2 or 3 months ago. I haven't played it again yet though.
Probably need to.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been a few years since I played it again.
Product placement. Here we go. Energizer batteries. Verizon wireless. Let's see. Billboards featuring both Energizer and Verizon. Ford and Lincoln cars being featured as well too. The car that Alan Wake drives has Microsoft's Ford Sync system. An Xbox 360 can be seen in one section of the game. Microsoft tag barcodes. I don't even know if those even work anymore. Oh, those do still, I think, exist in a few spots, but aren't really used as much. But yeah, that was a big product placement game for sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I guess I just so blinded by how good the story was.
Or
At least I thought the story was pretty amazing.
Or maybe you were so engrossed into that you didn't realize you bought a Ford, or that you were buying more Energizer batteries than you should, or that you switched to Verizon from Sprint or something at that point in time, or maybe
I've been part of Verizon, so maybe it was just like it didn't register to me because I think about that all the time anyway. It's part of my life.
You're just thinking about being Verizon. Well, you on your way to work,
there's
a Verizon store next to where you work, so you get to see it all the time anyway. So it's just always ingrained there. You are controlled by the capitalistic,
the major street in our
advertising
our
processes.
Town,
yes,
the major street in our city, it has a Verizon store right on it. So
it has. Oh my God, hold on. I actually want to think about it. Hold on.
3.
Hold on. I'm trying to count. Would you stop? I'm trying to count. I'm trying to count, damn it. I think there's at least 1, 2, 3, at least 4.
Wow.
On there. Yeah. There's one out in front of the mall. There's one out in there's Verizon you can get in Target. There's Verizon you can get in Walmart. And then, there's the one by,
Yeah, I didn't count Target. That's not.
But if you give Verizon there, you should count it, okay? You should count it. You get your Energizer batteries there too. Hey, maybe they have an Xbox 360 hiding in the back for you to buy too.
They might.
I don't know. Who knows? Let Alan Wake corrupt you to go and buy more things. I expect to see you in a Ford Fusion here sometime soon, or a Ford F-150 Lightning, okay? The all-electric one.
Maverick.
A Maverick. Get yourself a Ford Pinto. Just don't let anything rear-end you.
The Maverick's a new one that's coming out. It looks pretty sweet.
I talked to my wife about that truck, and she was not very pleased with that one. She's like, hey, cool, they're coming out with a neat truck. I like the price of it. It's like, have you even seen it yet? She's like, no. I'm like, I actually think it looks pretty good. And I showed it to her, and she's like, no. God, no. We want we've looked at those beefier Broncos though. Like we've looked at not the sport ones, but the beefy big ones, and we haven't made our decision there. I'll just keep puttering around in my Volt and my on my little motorcycle.
I'll tell you what would be really funny is if all the product placement changed. Like it was Duracell this time instead of Energizer. And he was on
T-Mobile. It's T-Mobile instead.
Well, no, it would be Sprint since the Verizon guy during that time he now works for Sprint, so now he talks on Sprint.
It would be an Xbox Series X instead of a 360. Yeah. What I would actually find funny though, I want to say this though, because we're at the end of the news and we're at the end of our time anyway though too. But I think what I'd find funny is that they make it look like a Ford F-150 Lightning, that he's driving in there, but the inside of it still looks like the original car. And like when the car's driving and turns corners, they did such a poor job modeling over the top of it, like the original car just like juts out. So here you see the car, here's the car coming, here's the car coming off. So yeah, it's like as the car turns, the original model still like just going straight or something like that. Yeah,
geez.
it just like comes undone. It's just yeah. They're using the new Dead Space tech. They're using the new peeling tech on the cars themselves now too.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got off on that one. But that was actually it for this week's news. Of course, I think the only other thing there, I kind of talked about it there for a second. Of course, was that EA Motive, the team that's working on the Dead Space remake right now, had a technical preview live stream. It's about 40 minutes long where they talked about what's going on technical-wise in the remake for Dead Space itself. So they showed off some of the new lighting effects. They showed off some of the new textures, some of the new details that are going to go in with the new Frostbite engine. But they also showed off what they're changing about the necromorphs themselves, too. More specifically, how much better the tearing apart comes across as you actually shoot them and blow them up and take them down, which they call peeling. And it actually looks really cool. So go and take a look at that video. It's a 40-minute long video. Of course, I think the one on the official Dead Space channel has timestamps to take you to each of the different spots where they talk about the different things. It does look pretty cool. So I think that was one of the big things there to bring up. But with that, I think that's it. Kyle, you think of anything else?
I can't think of anything this week.
Well, all right then. Then that is it for this week's news. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so when we go live, you can tune into us. Of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure to hit that like button so you, of course, can see everything that we post, everything that we share, all that jazz. And then, of course, you'll also know when we go live there, too. And as always, our big thing, of course, is our podcast. That's everything that we've basically been doing now for well over 2 years. It's still a surprise it's been 2 years. But we've got 2 new episodes coming up this week. Our What Are You Playing episode, of course, and our topic episode where we talk about the next gen costs. More specifically, talking about the next gen upgrade costs and as they relate to these game changes that, of course, are coming out. This really kind of comes into what we were talking about with the Horizon Forbidden West story at the beginning of today's newscast. So one of the key things there, of course, to be aware of is that we got that one dropping on Thursday, or What Are You Playing on Tuesday. So if you want to check those out, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform of choice, whether it's Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, or if you want to see all the others we're on, head to our homepage, anchor.fm/the-npcs-podcast. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in to this week's news live stream. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye-bye.